They say you can't win them all, especially for the Carolina Hurricanes on their loss on Thursday night against the New Jersey Devils. But despite that, they're still in the driver's seat when it comes to the Metro Division.
You're Locked On Hurricanes, your daily podcast on the Carolina Hurricanes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to a Friday edition of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you to the Everydayer for making this your first listen of the day. 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, talking everything about your Carolina Hurricanes. I'm your host, Zach Martin. I'm the credentialed Carolina Hurricanes beat writer over at the Hockey Writers. I am a columnist that also covers the Chicago Wolves called Wolves Weekly. I'm also the co-host of the Surgecast, which is a weekly Carolina Hurricanes podcast, along with all my duties here at Locked On Hurricanes. Today's episode, we're going to kind of recap the Hurricanes 4-2 loss against the New Jersey Devils, which basically culminated in a lot of things that kind of was almost a writing on the wall for the Hurricanes, being this a difficult game for them. But I do think that even despite the loss, they're still in the driver's seat when it comes to the Metro. Also get to listen to Rod Brind'Amour in his press conference following the game and giving my thoughts on that. We do have a fan question that I'm going to answer in segment 3 that's also going to we're going to use in finishing up with a Frederik Andersen update on his injury. But before we go into all that, today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Now, for the Hurricanes, unfortunately for them, coming into this game, they're on a 3-game winning streak. They just took care of Ottawa, took care of the Blues, and then the night before, they went and beat Philadelphia pretty handily. They're coming to this game against New Jersey, on a back-to-back. But the weird thing is for New Jersey, though, this was their first game since Saturday, so they had a rare 4 days off in between games. Now, the last time these two teams played, Carolina beat New Jersey 4-2 on October 15th, and now just a little over a month later, New Jersey returns the favor with a 4-2 win of their own. And like I said, it's weird how just from the jump, you can kind of tell this is going to be a very interesting game for the two teams where it's Carolina, like I said, coming off a back-to-back. They just played the night before against Philadelphia, and they won pretty handily, but it's still a John Tortorella Flyers team. And of course, they had scored 3 goals in the last period to really win that one, so it was already tough to begin with for them. And then you go into New Jersey, playing a team who's top 3 in the division, who's playing a lot more games than you, but are on a pretty good start as well. And, so you got some games at hand on them. But New Jersey, like I said, they haven't played since Saturday, so you got a rarely random and very rare 4 days off, which, I mean, Rod Brind'Amour on the team is not going to use that as an excuse, but it does somewhat play a factor. I mean, you really can't ignore that being a factor when, you're pretty much rested. You got a team who just played the night before and with less than 24 hours between puck drops. I know, Wednesday was 7:30, then Thursday was at 7, but you're still talking less than 24 hours between games. Still talking about travel and stuff like that too. And like I said, New Jersey had a rest, so I don't really know what more you can do. I know some people were like, "Why didn't you start Piotr in game 2 and Spencer Martin in game 1?" And Ryan Henkel from the Hockey News brought this up, and I thought it's a great point to share. Is the fact that if you throw Pierre Kachukov in game 1 against Philadelphia, it's almost not fully guaranteed, but you are like 95, 96% sure that game was going to go to the Hurricanes just because of the fact that the team just had 2 days off in between games. You got your number 1A goalie, or basically your main starter for the foreseeable future. You got him in net. You're kind of feeling good about yourselves going into the game to get the 2 points that you need. And then regardless of who you were going to start in game 2, was going to be a toss-up either way, even if it was Martin or if it was Kochetkov. It was a toss-up to begin with, so it made sense for the Hurricanes. But, hey, let's just throw our one goalie in against Philly. Go get the 2 points. You still got, the Flyers. You still have, you played the Flyers. you still got to play the Devils Thursday, and then you got Friday off, and so you play the Columbus Blue Jackets on Saturday to end the mini 3-game Metro Division road trip. So game 2 is going to be a toss-up regardless, even depending on who you had in net, and that's basically what it was. This was a game where you almost kind of felt like it was that old school early 2000s before the lockout and late 90s dead puck era trap game from the Devils. This was a game where I think like not even halfway into the game, it was like 21 total shots on goal, and I think the Hurricanes had like 9. That was how ridiculously just like, what are we doing here type of game, because you have 9-8 in the first, 9-7 in the first period, 8-7 in the second period, and the Hurricanes, and this was the Devils outshooting the Hurricanes, and then the Hurricanes outshot the Devils 8-4 in the third period. Carolina actually outshot New Jersey 22-21. That really shows you how weird this game is, for the fact that neither one of these teams had a double-digit shot total in one period, but somehow this game was a 4-2 game. It just doesn't make any sense. Of course, well, if you go look in terms of the stats, I mean, Carolina was 1 for 2 on the power play, but unfortunately, the New Jersey Devils, flexing their muscle on the power play, they went 2 for 3 on the night. I mean, you can't give up 2 power play goals to these guys. That's just not something that's really going to help you out. Also, the Devils out hit the Hurricanes 25-12, and this is a really big stat that kind of stood out. 25 block shots to the Hurricanes 11. At that point, you kind of really know what you're looking at. Like, yeah, it might say, okay, the Hurricanes only got 22 shots, but when you look at the block shot total, where it was 25, that's where you see it goes from Hurricanes having 22 to possibly having like 47 or somewhere in the high 30s, is because the fact that New Jersey was just, getting in the lane, in the shooting lanes, stopping passes and stuff like that too. So it's just, they were putting their bodies in the line and forcing the Hurricanes to play, a different style of hockey that they were not really expecting to do so. So that kind of factors into it as well. It's like, okay, why is the shooting so far down, and why does it feel like it's an old school game? Well, put your buddy in front of a lot of pucks, especially 25 of them, there you go. And of course, like I said, with New Jersey going 2 for 3 on the power play, so you're talking about the penalty killers going 1 for 3. That's not good. That's a 33% on the night. You really can't have that, especially against the New Jersey Devils, who, when you're talking about guys, like Jack Hughes and Jesper Bratt, it's just one of those things you just don't want to give those guys the opportunity. And looking at the game, Jack Roslovic, guy's 11th of the season, 843, and which is good for him. I mean, you look at how good Jack Roslovic's been. He's already now halfway to his all-time career high goal total in a season, which I've talked about on the show. He's, it's 22 that he had back in the 21-22 season for the Jackets. Now he's already halfway there, and you're talking 19 games into the season. There's a good chance that he might match it or pass it probably by like February at this point. That's just how, or even before then. So that's just how good Jack Roslovic's been. Jesper Bratt does tie it, 14:45 into the period for his 9th of the year. Of course, Jack Hughes got the assist. And then 46 seconds into the second period, and we've seen this before when he did it for us. Now, unfortunately, it's been done to us. Steph Nason got his 10th of the season as a power play goal because he was in the dirty area right in front of the net. Stop me, Hurricanes fans, if you've seen and heard this story before, because he did it a lot for us over the last few years, and it's very weird to be on the receiving end of that type of goal. So that's his 10th of the season for Steph Nason. But the Hurricanes came out and got their power play goal of their own 12 seconds into the third period with Andrei Svechnikov getting a power play goal after a great pass from Martin Necas, who got his 20th of the season, to Shane Gostisbehere. Now, that stinks with the fact that Necas didn't get a point on Wednesday night against Philadelphia, because if he did, and won that from tonight, he would have been on a 15-game point streak. But hey, you know what? You got to start somewhere. That's number one. Hopefully we see another streak going. Later in the period, unfortunately, it's one of those things where You tie the game up really early in the third, and then, you can't give Doug Hamilton the room. He scores, top shelf, nothing Spencer Martin can do. 10:35 in, and then not even 4 minutes later, Jesper Bratt on the power play. Right place, right time for him. Steph Nason got an assist, and Jack Hughes got another one. So a multi-point night for Bratt, Hughes, and Nason. And unfortunately, you go from a 2-2 game to a 4-2 New Jersey lead. And in the end, New Jersey wins the game. And there's really nothing you can do about it if you're the Carolina Hurricanes. I mean, it's just one of those ones where it's just the culmination of playing the night before. New Jersey had a lot of rest. You knew this game was going to be a gong show from the start just because of all the stuff that was happening with, what goalie do you use? It's just one of those things, man. But hey, it's a game. You gotta just learn from it and get ready for Saturday. Just in terms of the game sheet, real quick, points wise, Ford, Svechnikov, Nichas, and Rosovic all got points. And then in terms of the defense, Gostisbehere, Chatfield, and Orlov all got points themselves. And then Spencer Martin, 17 of 21, gave up 2 image strengths, 2 power play goals, and finished with an 810 save percentage. Like I said, it's just one of those things where even if you threw Piotr in the net, this game was going to be a toss-up just because, like I said, you have all those days. New Jersey has all those days off. They got 4 in a row. You're coming off a back-to-back. This game was going to be weird regardless. You kind of knew that somewhere on this mini road trip that they were going to lose somewhere. It's New Jersey. Unfortunately, it is because how close those two teams are. But hey, the Hurricanes still have games in hand on them regardless. So it's just you get 2 more matches against these guys before the calendar year is out. Just go pick up those points then, and take Friday to travel, get ready, and then no practice on Friday for the Hurricanes, but do have a morning skate on Saturday. So just get ready for your morning skate on Saturday in Columbus and then go beat the Blue Jackets Saturday night to get back in the win column. So that being said, we're going to listen to the Rod Brind'Amour press conference. I'll give you my thoughts off of that. So make sure to stick around here as we'll do that in a second on a Friday edition of Locked On Hurricanes. Gametime has a new feature called Gametime Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Gametime Picks also filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. And, that's just not just for sports, but for concerts, comedy theaters, and so much more. Now, for their own pricing, well, if you toggle this feature, it shows you the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. My favorite feature, well, it's their seat viewfinder because you get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy, so you don't have to worry about obstructive views or awkward angles, because let's be honest, you want to take the guesswork out of buying tickets, and you can do that with Gametime. So download the Gametime app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL. That's LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Well, it's Gametime. Welcome back to segment 2 of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day. So like I said, we're going to listen to the Rod Brind'Amour press conference. Hear what he had to say after the game for the team's 4-2 loss against the Devils. I'll give my thoughts after that. So without further ado, let's head over to the press conference with Rod Brind'Amour right now.
Rod, we spoke during the second intermission. You felt kind of flat at that point, hadn't fully gotten to the game. Then you opened the third, capitalized. What made it difficult to pull it out?
We weren't very good. We were good to start the game, and then thought that the penalties, it's always that seems to rear its head there. Give up the momentum flipped on that, and then 5-on-3, you're giving a goal away. You almost get it kind of killed, but you can't give a team like that, that kind of life. And then we hung around. That's basically all we did tonight. And then we got back in the game, and then we kind of have a gaff. Game-winning goal behind the net. You're not going to win when you do that kind of stuff. So it's tough. Move on.
Yeah, the play on the game-winning goal. I mean, is that he loses it and just becomes scrambly from there?
Yeah, and then you just gave him a puck possession. Going for no reason. Those are little details that you're gonna have to clean up in the game, like when it's tight. That's the difference in the game. So it's tough. tough play. But then they got another one on power play, like then a penalty. Like, you got to stay out of the box.
Do you look at in the third period the reason why you guys couldn't build momentum? Even you had a little bit after you scored. You had some 5-on-5.
Yeah, the third period was fine.
But then penalty. Right?
Yeah, I mean, the penalty just shuts you right down again. I mean, they weren't able to kill it. To me, that's the special teams was a big factor tonight, but bigger factor, we just were a little flat.
Big thank you to Rod Brind'Amour and the Carolina Hurricanes. And listening to what Rod said after the game, it's special teams, once again, unfortunately, if you're on the wrong end of it, it kind of burns you. And that's basically what it did to the Hurricanes against the Devils. You gave them way too many opportunities. You're down on a 5-on-3. They find a way to score, and still being able to keep the power play going because you got one. They scored with like a second left on the Goss spare penalty. Stahl stays in, and then late in the game, you give them another opportunity to find a way to extend their lead, and that leads to the Jesper Brock goal, and that's just where you don't. You're giving the team like the Devils way too many chances. You can see how good they're playing this year under Sheldon Keefe, and it's just that's a team you don't want to give extra opportunities to, and that's what I said for the previews. Like, just don't get cute, run your structured game, and you got to make sure you don't give these guys opportunities, and that's what they did. They gave them opportunities. Like I said, 2 for 3 on the power play for New Jersey. You're 1 for 3 on the penalty kill. You're 33%. That's just not good. Yeah, the first period was great. Try to get some momentum. But, you could definitely tell these guys are skating through quicksand all night. It's just they were sticking with it. But unfortunately, nothing you can do when you get former Hurricanes. And Steph Nason and Dougie Hamilton both burn you at the most inopportune times. And that's just what kind of sinks you as a team, and every time you try to gain momentum back, you just get multiple penalties and kind of set you off your groove, because we all know the Hurricanes are a really great 5-on-5 team, but if you're consistently taking penalties, you're using the penalty kill a lot, and you're not really playing to your game, we all know what that turns into for the Hurricanes. And right now, that was just one of those games where you just don't do that, and they did it to the wrong team, because New Jersey's fast. They have a lot of fast guys. They got some really good skill in that team, and with Mark, with Markstrom and net, it was just a culmination of a lot of things that just weren't going the Hurricanes' way. Yeah, they were still in it for most of the game. Had to, find ways to score when they needed to, but in the end, it's just it. Like I said, it's one of those games where you kind of have to look at the tape, know what you did wrong, and just kind of erase it and get ready for Columbus on Saturday. Yeah, you kind of split the first 2 games of the road trip, but hey, you get 2 out of a possible 4. Columbus just had a insane game against Tampa where they won 7-6 in overtime. So, the Blue Jackets are feeling themselves as well. So, you're going to be in for it's going to be a close game for sure, because we know how the Jackets play the Hurricanes too. Sometimes these games play a lot closer than what people think of. So that's going to be interesting on Saturday. But overall, you could tell these guys were tired. You could tell that they were just trying everything that was. You saw a huge line switch where basically no one was with their guys that they started the night off with. It's just Rod Brind'Amour was trying everything on the forward core to get them rolling, but in the end, came up short. Lost 4-2 against the Devils. Like I said, luckily still have a lot of games in hand, but it's just not a situation where you want to be in for Carolina, where it's just you're trying to fight for as much division points as you can, because, like I said, you got the back-to-back against New Jersey, which is a home later in December. So after that, you don't see these guys at all in the calendar into the second half of the season in 2025. End of December, that's it. Your 4 games against New Jersey are done. You don't get to see them at all in the spring of 25 until either the playoffs or 25-26 season. So right now, it's like you got like the season series is split 1-1, both games 4-2. But now you just got to, go and get ready to face them in December. But, your next game is against Columbus. And like I said, you just can't give this team opportunities like that. They'll burn you for it, and that's what happened. So, like I said, unfortunately, winning streaks do have to come to an end at some point. It was only 3 games. But, hey, just another opportunity to start another streak on Saturday. And Martin H is back on the board. Hopefully he gets another, point streak going for him. And, big props to Jack Roslovic getting his 11th goal of the season, already halfway to tying his career best. So who knows? Who knows where he'll be at too? Andrei Svechnikov got a goal. So you love to see that. It's just, you gotta, like I said, learn from this game and get ready for the next one. So we do have some updates on Frederik Andersen and what what the next few weeks looks like for him. Also do a fan question as well. So stick around as we'll go through all of that here in a second on a Friday edition of Locked On Hurricanes. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Once again, that's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Welcome back to segment 3 of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day. So we do have some updated news on Frederik Andersen as Eric Tulsky and the Carolina Hurricanes announced on Thursday afternoon that Frederik Andersen had got successful surgery on his knee, but he will be out for at least 8 to 12 weeks. Now, if you're talking 2 months, you're looking at somewhere around the end of January, early February, probably around 4 Nations time. If you're talking 12 weeks, you're talking about probably late February, early March now, and it's kind of where he kind of came back last season. He missed over 40 games, came back around the day after, right around the trade deadline. If it's the 12 weeks, probably around the same. That's probably around the same time. It's unfortunate. I mean, definitely wishing Freddie a safe recovery. Hopefully, it's safe. It's quick as safely as possibly when it comes to quick, but it's unfortunate he's out longer again, and now it begs the question of, do the Hurricanes make a move? Especially, you kind of saw how the Hurricanes played, on Thursday against the Devils. Of course, you can't put that on Spencer Martin. What can you do when the team in front of you is, kind of struggling for most of the night, just trying to keep up, make some costly mistakes and stuff like that. But like I said, it does beg the question, do the Hurricanes make a move? And the thing is that who do you go for? Are you going for someone who's a rental for the rest of the season? Do you go for someone who's got some tenure? Maybe an extra year or two left on a contract? Is there possibly some retention there? What's the asking price going to be too? So, of course, the Hurricanes are never a knee-jerk reaction team, and even Eric Tulsky said they're still looking through their options. They're trying to figure out what's the best course of action. Of course, they do have some trust in Piotr and Spencer Martin to run the show. If something happens, they could bring up Yaniv Peretz on a recall. If one of those guys get hurt, it's just you got to hope that those two guys don't get hurt, because then you're looking at your 4th string goalie being up there with you at some point too. So it's just, could I see them making a move? Maybe. Could I also see them not making a move and just staying the course until Frederik Andersen's back? That's probably the most likely course of action. I know I read an article about possible targets, that the Hurricanes could bring in. Anton Forsberg is in the last year of his deal. He could be someone. Alex Nedeljkovic has just signed a 2-year contract. It's not a lot of money. They could bring him in. You kind of bring him back, former, Hurricanes goaltender who was up for a Calder Trophy as a Rookie of the Year when he was with Carolina. I mean, I don't know who else you can really go after as of right now, just because of, do the Hurricanes want to trade for a rental? I doubt it, because then if Frederik Andersen comes back, what are you going to do with that guy then? Because we going to run with 3 goalies? I don't know. That's the tough thing, because you're in a weird spot, because he's not out for the season where you can go and pick up someone else. This is more of a, He's out for at least 8 weeks, could be 12. So you're talking 2 to 3 months. And it's, he comes back. What are you going to do in terms of cap space and roster slots and stuff like that? Do you drop an extra guy on the forward, or a healthy scratch just to make sure you're on with 3 goalies? Or do you try to hopefully send him to waivers and he goes play in Chicago? I don't know. That's a tough spot to be in. So who knows what the Hurricanes are going to do? I doubt they make a move. I can see the Hurricanes, just kind of riding it out until Andersen comes back. And I think that July 1st is probably going to be where you're going to see a different goalie come into probably Tannen Piotr. I just don't see the Hurricanes making a move now or even near the trade deadline. Because, we saw last year, the only reason why they picked up Martin on waivers because Antti Raanta was struggling and they needed someone to be a nice stopgap until Andersen got back, which they did. And then, of course, they did run with 3 goalies for most of the rest of the season. But I just don't see the Hurricanes doing it again. It doesn't make sense. If they do, then they have a lot of other complications they're going to figure out later on for sure. But that's kind of where we're at right now. Wishing a safe recovery for Freddie. Just stinks that he's out, and hopefully everything kind of works out in the end. So we did get a question from Dutch Watner again. So big shout out to Ray. How do you think the Four Nations tournament will affect Aho and Slavin for the rest of the season? Arguably, the success of the World Championship was the catalyst for the amazing start by Nietzsche's. Can we expect the same result, or will the event wear them down? Of course, talking about the Four Nations that's taken over for the All-Star game this year that's going to be in Boston and Montreal. As of right now, we know that Aho is going to be on Team Finland and Jacob Slavin's going to be with Team USA. Of course, going back to the World Juniors or the World Championships where Martin Nietzsche and, the Czech Republic won in their home country. And we saw the kind of start that he's on this season. I would say probably for Martin Nietzsche, I think that gave him a huge boost of confidence going. The fact that, he played center, he played really well. It kind of gave him that, give him his swagger back, give him a little bit of a confidence boost going into the season. For Aho, I don't really think that he needs a confidence boost because we know he's scoring again. And he just set the all-time franchise record for game-winning goals. I don't really see it being a catalyst to having a boost for the rest of the season for him. And I don't think it's really going to wear him down either because it's a couple extra games of hockey. But of course, it's unfortunately the manufactured best on best. It's only 4 countries. So I do think it's maybe going to give him maybe a little bit of extra ice time to get some feel and some touch as well. But I don't think it's going to be a detriment to him. It could be a positive just to give him an extra perspective, basically playing with a lot of his countrymen and maybe a little bit of pride for one of the Foreign Nations. And that's probably the same thing for Jacob Slavin. You want to be that first team to win the Four Nations tournament. And doing the Team USA, I think, would be very exciting for him. It's Jacob Slavin. I don't think he really needs a confidence boost just because of how great of a hockey player he is. And I don't think it's going to be anywhere in tear because, he basically plays the same way almost every game, and it seems like he just doesn't. He puts himself in a good place where he's not hurting his body and not putting himself in any terrible chances. So I say for the most part, it's just going to give them some extra ice time, get them, more opportunities to play for their country and get some, bragging rights and stuff like that. But in terms of, is it a catalyst for a breakout season, breakout for the rest of the year or however many games left? I doubt it. Is it going to take anything away from their games? No, not really. I think all this is going to do is just give them some confidence boosts and some bragging rights, and that's really about it. But who knows? Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we'll see Sebastian Aho goes absolutely off and scores multiple goals and racks up all the points and somehow gets to 100, and we're like, wow, okay, maybe the Four Nations is something that helps these guys unlock. So I don't know. Who knows? But definitely excited for when the Four Nations come around in February. It'll be fun to see. Aho with Finland and Jacob Slavin with the USA, at least for those guys. So big shout out to Ray for that question. But guys, that will wrap up a Friday edition of Locked on Hurricanes. Thank you for making this your first listen of the day. Now, for your second listen, make sure you check out Locked on Fantasy Hockey, become a fantasy hockey expert, and get the edge over your league mates with daily tips from Steal and Flip. Find Locked on Fantasy Hockey on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts. Now, if you want to keep up with me, I'm at OneSureZach on X. Podcast is @_Hurricanes. I'm also on Blue Sky. You just got to check out the Zachary Martin. In those Linktree bios, you can also find my articles at the Hockey Writers, or just go to thehockeywriters.com and just search for me my author page. You can find all my articles over there. If you want to check out the Surgecast, all podcast platforms on YouTube, just check out the Surgecast. For this show, Locked on Hurricanes on Spotify, Apple, and all that good stuff. Leave a 5-star rating and review. I might just bring on the show. For YouTube, hit subscribe, hit the bell notification so you don't miss the show. Hit the thumbs up button. Let me know if you like the show as well. Share with all other friends so every other Caniac so they become everydayers just like you. But I hope everyone enjoyed this Friday edition of Locked on Hurricanes. Hope everyone enjoys their Friday and the weekend. And until next time, as always, let's go Canes.